Good evening and thanks for joining us once again on Daily Politics. This is a program that discusses politics, policy and governance. It's a program that is reaching you live from Trust TV here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. And on the platform this evening, we're looking at one very important issue, talking about security. Nigeria's security situation has been troubled somehow. It has been troubling over time. It has faced a lot of challenges, virtually across the country, because the country is facing multidimensional and, of course, complex kind of security issues, from the south to the east to the north to the west. There are security issues. If you are to look at Nigeria holistically, crime map in the country, you will realize that at the moment, some would say the northwest is the most troubled region because of the activities of terrorists, bandits, and of course kidnappers who have been terrorizing this part of the country. Attacks are becoming almost a daily business, challenging the authorities at the national and the subnational levels. Going to the northeast, the country has been battling insurgency and other criminalities. The southwest, we're talking about, activities of ritualists, kidnappers, and so on. If we go to the south, we're dealing with militancy, oil theft, maritime security issues, and so on. You go to the southeast, you have the activities of, separatists like the IPOB and the rest of them, which has also been undermining the security situation in that region. At the central, there has been protracted, security challenge emanating from the farmers' herders conflict. There are still occasional, ethno-religious crisis here and there, especially at the central. So the country generally is facing enormous security challenges. The Nigerian government and its security agencies are also not resting on their oars, looking at the various interventions and various responses to the security challenges. Nigeria's military and other security agencies have never been stretched this much than it is today. There are a number of operations that are being carried out simultaneously across the country to rid the country of these criminal elements. Some say even the security agencies are becoming war-weary because of the protracted security challenge in the country. Now, efforts are being made at all levels to deal with the situation. The recent one, the multiple attacks on Kaduna, the erstwhile political capital of northern Nigeria, the still capital of northern Nigeria, has left much to be desired. Attacks on rail lines, on airports, and of course, on the roads, the major road linking the north to the center, and of course to other parts of the country, has led to loss of lives and of course properties. A number of people are still captives, in the hands of kidnappers, awaiting response. So this is the situation, and of course this is what we'll be looking at this evening on Daily Politics. We'll be focusing our attention on the missing links. What exactly are the missing links? What need to be done? What is it that is not being done to address this problem? And I will be engaging some experts, both intelligence and security experts. Together we'll be digesting and engaging the issues. But before then, we'll take a short break. When we return, I will tell you who the guests are, and then we'll commence discussions.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, Evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Thank you very much. You're still with Daily Politics, reaching you live from Trust TV here in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. And just like, I laid the background before the commencement of the program, today our talking point is addressing Nigeria's security challenges. And I have, experts in the studio, intelligence and security. Together we'll be looking at the issues. Gentlemen, you're welcome. I have Dr. Sani Aliyu, is an intelligence and security expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us on.
And Malam Jibrin Indachi is the defense editor of the Blueprint newspaper. You're welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Right. So we cannot get tired of talking about security issues in Nigeria because even the authorities are also not resting on their oars. This morning, the president had to convene, the National Security Council meeting. Some say, it is the fourth since the advent of this administration about more than 7 years ago or so. Now, it shows that the challenge is still very much with us and there's need for all hands on deck to address it. So here we are looking at the security situation. Before you came in, you were slightly behind schedule, but then I was talking about doing a recap, sort of, and then crime mapping the country. Every aspect of the country, every part of the country is undermined by one security challenge or the other. Now, let me start with you by getting your perspective. Why do you think Nigeria is faced with this kind of situation we find ourselves?
Well, like you said, we can't stop talking. We can't be tired of offering our own, what you call, our own perspective to the discourse. But like I've always said, either on a program with you at different forums, I think we need to recognize one thing, that since the 1990s, and particularly after 9/11, there seems to be a shift from conventional warfare to unconventional warfare, where non-state actors increasingly try to undermine the sovereignty of states around the world. Even the so-called superpower, there is attempt, to undermine them. But there are different strata of how these things happen. The worst is what you call homegrown terrorism or insurgency, which is what we are grappling with. Globally, what we are facing in Nigeria is what one security expert called the age of durable disorder. They are the criminals, the criminal element, terrorists, insurgents, bandits, or whatever. For many, they have no war to win. They know it's difficult for them to take over government or all of that. But one attack, like the example you gave of the rail line, 3 things was achieved with that attack, which is critically fit into the style of terrorists and insurgents all over the world. 1, undermine the sovereignty of state. 2, get global recognition. 3, oil their own engine of what you call
machinery.
Yes, so it's always like that. No matter what government try to do, one attack. So we are in this situation because, 1, we always react to our challenges. That is 1. 2, when attacks happen, I built the scenario around the Kaduna attack. It's the same with all the issue you and I have discussed at other fora and all of that. It's not about grandstanding. It's not about lamentation. It's what other countries do is to reassess what are the learned lessons. What are we supposed to do differently? Like we gave instance of all of that. So we are in this situation generally because one, there are gaps, which you talk about. There are gaps in governance. There are gaps in how even the people perceive the nation, the country, the Nigeria as a country, sense of belonging. There are gaps in the so-called, the new definition of human security, which include health security, food security, transport security, education security, and all manner of security. What is the place? Yes, what is the place of a Nigeria? And we take the instance of Abuja, Kaduna rail. The ordinary people on both sides of this rail line, how do they connect with the rail? Do they see it as big men from Kaduna going to Abuja, elitists. From Abuja, elitists? Right. You know, how are they involved in the process of being protecting this national critical infrastructure?
Maybe by way of intelligence gathering and so on. Yes. Dr. Senaliu, he talked about something fundamental. You know, the fact that the security dimension is changing, you know, in line with the global dynamics too, the changing, you know, dynamics in the global architecture of security. He talked about transforming from conventional to non-conventional warfare, which is what we're facing today. But then some would say part of the gaps, you know, is the fact that we are yet to also advance or, restructure or rebuild or, retool our own, security architecture one. Even the policies are archaic and what have you. Do you see that as a fundamental gap?
Yes, it is a serious gap, a very worrisome one for that matter. In fact, like my co-discussant here said earlier, when we don't learn from our mistakes or happenings, we keep dragging a very long drag. Now, if you look at what happened in 9/11, the American state as a nation actually collapsed, or you could say drafted most of its security arsenals to face the situation at that moment. Thereafter, they went back to their drawing board and came up with what is called Homeland Security. Nigeria, for all intent and purposes, is today, as at today, is the second most terrorized nation in the world. And yet, we do not have one single agency that is mandated or dedicated to counter terrorism. It becomes very difficult for you to profile or to counter terrorism, because if you are looking at the current security formation in the country, there are problem of inter and intra agency corporations. Right. And when you have, for instance, the Kaduna train problem, we learned that the DSS had or got this, procured this.
There was even an accusation, by the Kaduna State Governor, who failed, who queried, if you like, the handling of that intelligence. And the,
now you see, it becomes very difficult for you to lay blame on any of the agency, because there is no specialized agency that is dedicated to handle or to counter terrorism in Nigeria. So
but we have
we
have the civil authority, the police, for instance. Its main function is to guarantee internal security. Is it that we don't have the agency, or the security agency is not capacitated, to handle the challenge?
If you look at the constitutional mandate of the police, they are to maintain peace and internal order. There is no place in their mandate constitutionally that says police should counter terrorism. Anywhere in the world, it is. If you look, the formation of police is a long time formation. That this current situation we are having is just new. It's new to the world social order, terrorism. And so most nations that are grappling with this situation, they have gone back to their drawing board and came up with a specialized counter-terrorism agency that is mandated not only to counter terrorism, but to check all the possible areas or possibilities of transactions that could lead to terrorism.
That's financial intelligence.
Financial funds movement, deploying forensic aspect of security, and other measures, including AI, other technologies, drones, and so on and so forth. Here in this country, which of it have we tried or to put in motion? We don't have any dedicated agency to handle that. One, we don't have the technology. Two, we refuse deliberately to procure even simple cameras. For instance, when you are talking of Nigeria, the train situation, during Jonathan, I remember vividly well, Les Shekau make a pronouncement that they are going to be attacking rails. They must destroy all those rail systems.
Facilities.
Now, when they were issuing or awarding all those contracts, why didn't they build in security aspect of the contract? Now, you see, sometimes in Nigeria, we see things the other way around, as if we don't care or we are not patriotic enough to, or we don't have any premium placed on the lives of our citizens. We knew that very well that this is possible, but we did not take any action. The minister is finding a way to slide away from the problem. Meanwhile, he is very much aware of this of the threat that Shekau made earlier, and nothing.
Even beyond the Shekau threat, I think there was an attempt, to blow up. I thought it was even carried out. Actually, it was on the mild side. That it didn't affect.
It was testing the mic, if you like.
Yes. So, but then with all of that, Mr. Malam Jibrin, talking about neglect or negligence, not taking things seriously, he talked about right from the onset. There ought to have been proper plan as to how to secure, the rail lines, against such attacks that are very much possible. And now, with all the threats, with all the rehearsals, so to speak, something serious hasn't been done until the major incidents. And as we speak, lives were lost, properties were lost, and some people are still in the hands of captives.
Yes, but that is even not the issue. The question we should ask ourselves, are we thinking differently from our response to all other security challenges? Those are the first point.
There are a lot
of issues that came out from doctors' submission and extrapolation on this. He gave instance of Homeland Security. Americans don't lament. Developed country and other country, when these things happen, there's no blame game. They approach the situation, and then they bring everybody on board. Like he said, that led to the establishment of the Homeland Security. But above all, they were thinking differently. They are think tanks, who say, okay, who are thinking of the threats in the next 20 years? What are the threats? What is America doing to ensure that there's no homegrown terrorism and insurgency? Because that is the worst, what we are confronted with. And he made a point, which is very valid and which we need to take note of. And I've said this, even on this platform before, that if this train were to be running in China, between a major city in China that is as important as Abuja and another city that is as important as Kaduna, will they allow this train to run blind? What the Hausa will say, Makao on Jirigi. Because this train, once it leaves this station, it cannot see even what is happening in Kubwa. Not to say what is happening in Kajuru or up to this state. You go to the station.
With all the threats.
Yes, with all the threats that is there, you go to the station. Nobody knows who is entering the station. No CCTV camera. There is nothing, like he said. There is no the architecture as part of the security. And that is why, even in some of my comments, I said, look, as members and stakeholders, there need to be a whole government approach and a whole people approach. So when it's happening, let's think quickly. Let's not go either to National Assembly or to anywhere to grandstand. Let's come together. For instance, what is the role of the National Assembly? If the minister misses out in ensuring that this train has the needed security architecture as part of it.
Yeah.
What is in terms of their oversight function to say, okay, why should this train run? Look, I have said this before.
But in that respect, you know, there has been back and forth or blame game
That is
between
what,
the minister and even the National Assembly in a way, because what he said is that there was, you know, a request, a certain amount of money is needed to procure, you know, the necessary intelligence logistics along that rail line, but it was delayed and what have you.
You see, Malin Shafiu, you see, when you invited me here, it's less than 1 hour. It's the importance that I place on coming here, including doctor himself.
That's right.
It's not that we don't have something to do. We are talking about Nigeria here. When you are given responsibility, this is fasting period, you are here, we are here. You see, let's stop giving excuses. And this is what, when a president gives you assignment, do you expect the president and commander-in-chief to follow you as a minister? Do you expect, if we are not a banana republic, let's these people are giving us loan, any country, let's not be treated as if anything goes in this country. Even in other part of African country, from what what is available, facts available to us is that in other part of African country that this same time of project is running, they have different type of coaches and their security architecture around it. The point we are making,
Yes.
we are not here to blame anybody, but we are telling stakeholders, members of National Assembly, executive, to come together once there is any problem, whether an attack like this. What are the learned lessons? Let them there be introspection. What is it that the National Assembly is supposed to do? What is it that the executive is supposed to do?
But Manage Brain, for how long can we continue to do this? For instance, you talked about the need to come together and look at the issues and see where the failures or the gaps are and address them. Immediately after the train attack, the attack on the train, the president summoned the security chiefs and all of that, and they had an intensive meeting, for instance. But that wasn't the first time the president is summoning such a meeting.
Yeah.
Whenever there is a major security breach, you see that.
Let me come in, please.
Okay.
Before I know Doctor will want to come.
Right,
Let me come in.
right.
You see, that is kinetic approach. For us to solve this issue, and I know Doctor is an expert in this area, all over the world. You don't solve issue of terrorism and insurgency with boots on the ground alone. Look at some of the measures that we are talking about. You said there should be air surveillance on the train. How many trains run in a day? How many aircraft, how many fighter jet jet do we have? Do we have the resources to push it? And then you are now even exposing our aircraft to another attack because the criminal, they will think of another way to even bring down our aircraft.
They even have the capacity to do that.
So the point I'm making, Malin Shafi, when these things happen, let's sit back. Let's see, okay, yes, we have made a mistake by not taking this observation that we have all made, this security apart. Okay, what is the way forward? What is the short time? The short time is to say, okay, let's re-engage the country that supply this train. What is the international best practices? How is it run in their country? What is it that is not in Kaduna station? What is it that is not in Abuja station? What about the other station? What is the involvement of communities? Do they have sense of belonging? How many of them are working in this railway station? You see, I always say this. When we build system, let's not do cut and paste. We are not in China or US. You cannot build a train in Nigeria and you don't take cognizance of the ordinary people, the communities that buy this thing. You bring them in. They naturally become the natural surveillance of the project.
That's right.
But you are building a train station, you say, we are just building, we don't want it to stop, or we don't want any, and there's no way that you got the buying of the people.
In fact, it is even, just like you said, it has turned to an elitist kind of project, because even the common people cannot even fly the train.
Well, if the train is passing all these villages, it's for the big men. That is one aspect. Two, from the information available to me, there are reliable sources have said that even some people who try to give information to security agencies were compromised. When they give information about movement of these criminals, the next day somebody tap on their door and say, you have given so and so, and then that may lead to their disease. So finally on this issue, what we need to do as a nation is what other countries are doing. The example given by Doctor. What is the best practice? Comprehensive one, engagement, learned lesson. as a result of 9/11, that led to the establishment of Homeland Security. In this country, you will say that they are learned lesson about management of emergency coordination, which led to establishment of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and all of that. So what the point doctor is making, which who says to look at, how do we have a coordinator? For instance, the police, I want to make a point because there are some police officers that were trained on counter-terrorism during, I think, former IGP Sir Mike Okiro.
That's right.
Once they come back, they don't stay as a formation. They send them to various
because of the paucity of manpower.
Yeah, it's part of what he said because there is no coordinating point in that aspect.
Talking about coordination, Doctor, here we are with a situation whereby even the security agencies themselves are lacking inter-agency collaboration and synergy. We've had this over time, the rivalry among them, which has led to a lot of, has cost the country a lot of casualties or a lot of, setbacks. And this is very glaring. At some point, it became even prominent because the coordinator of the security architecture, that is the National Security Advisor, came out to voice this. And of course, he lamented the lack of synergy among them and what have you. At some point, he was even, himself was even sidelined, so to speak. So how do we create sort of a synergy that we need, to be able to approach this issue, in a collective and in a coordinated manner?
You see, first of all, we need to look at what nation we are running. Nigeria is our country. How are we running it? What size of this country? We have a country that is 923,000 square kilometer. And we have a population of over 200 million people. And total security population is less than 1 million. Are we a serious country? Put the military together, put the police together, put even the civil defense, the immigration, the customs, even the what we call Grand Rover in Hausa, the prisons, the correctional centers, warders. Put them all together, they are less than 1 million. And you expect
200 million.
You expect this less than 1 million personnel to secure 200 million people over 923,000 square kilometers. We are not serious about this thing. You understand? So if you are talking about coordination, how do you coordinate? Where do you coordinate? What population are you coordinating? You understand what I'm saying? So we have a problem. There is a very dear need of creating another very brand new security outfit that could be that will determine the countering terrorism in Nigeria.
But all the agencies have counter-terrorism units.
They have units.
Police.
They have units. You cannot talk about unit and an agency that is specialized to deal with that situation. Specialized, I tell you, countering terrorism is not all about the war aspect. You have a lot of other aspects. It's a multi-dimensional approach that you need to look at. You have where the reformatory aspect, you have the radicalization aspect, you have the funding aspect, you have a lot of profiling aspects. Then we don't operate a proactive security system in Nigeria. We are only reactive. When something has happened, you see everybody running around. President calling people to come to a meeting after the damage has been done. We have no proactive security system that will determine what will happen in the next few months, in the next few years. He spoke about 20 years projection of security plan. There is no security chief in Nigeria that will come and tell us today what will be the security situation of Nigeria in the next 1 year. Let's not even go to 10, 20 years. You understand what I'm saying? So what we need to do as a country, we need to go back to our drawing board. Look at the areas there are gaps. There are a lot of gaps in this area that we need to fill up. If you want, the government would like to argue that the funding is going to be a problem. No, funding is never going to be a problem. If we have commissions like Petroleum Trust Fund, we should be able to devise a situation where we have security trust fund, that every Nigerian citizen, every blue chip company, everybody in Nigeria contributes to that trust fund, so that we will not say, we will not be lying under the shadows of funding a new organization, training, and so on and so forth. More so, let me help the government. In the course of countering terrorism, there is an organization which we know that we call them popularly, we call them civilian JTF, but the mother organization is NESU. These guys are over 70,000. They are volunteering their lives for the patriotic mind they have.
So all the government needs is to
formalize.
formalize.
All the government needs is to formalize them and get them involved. And this, just let me tell you one thing. The government, the former chief of army staff celebrated one woman. Her name is Hajia Zahra Mohammed. When they were in an operation in Yobe State, around Gaidam area, there was an ambush laid against the Nigerian military. They withdrew. They retreated. That woman stood alone, and she decimated 75 Boko Haram. She was even awarded this year in the Defense College here. So if we have people, the same organization is there. If we can bring 50 of Hajia Zahra in Kaduna, Abuja way.
If I understand your position, the government is not talking to critical stakeholders. Because all of this is happening. The security agencies and the security service chiefs also are aware of all of this. Why are they not facilitating such a synergy?
There is unhealthy competition even within their formations.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier on. So I think it's about time we take a break. In case you're just joining us, the program is Daily Politics. And we're looking at addressing Nigeria's security challenges. And I have in the studio Malam Jibrin Indache, the defense editor of the Blueprint newspaper, and Dr. Sani Aliyu, a security and intelligence expert. Together we'll be looking at, the gaps and of course how they can be addressed so that together we can have a peaceful and secure nation. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Thank you very much for staying with us. It's still Daily Politics, and today we're looking at addressing Nigeria's security challenges. And of course, in the studio, I have Jibrin Indache, who is the editor, Blueprint, Defense Desk, and of course, Dr. Sani Aliyu, a security and intelligence expert. Before the break, Alam Jibrin is talking about the need for Nigeria to, work towards having a coordinated, a more robust engagement of other stakeholders, and of course, in dealing with the situation. He talked about something fundamental, the fact that the Nigerian security architecture, as it is today, is reactive rather than being proactive. And we're beginning to see manifestations of some of these things. Even when attacks happen, the response, if you look at the response time, you realize that the security agencies will not arrive until the damage is done. Take, for instance, the train that was attacked, the Kaduna-bound train. The survivors did mention that it took almost 2 hours, for military intervention and so on. Before then, in between, a number of people have been killed, a number have been abducted, and so on and so forth. Why do you think we are having this, in a country that, well, we know that there is paucity of funds, and then acquiring security logistics is also capital intensive. The security chiefs will tell you that their requirements is not often met by the government because of some of these challenges. But by and large, this is a country that, with the number in terms of population, with the vast, area, just like I was talking about, the size of the country, must have to invest, heavily in some of these things. How do you see this, undermining our ability to get it right?
Yeah, you talk about so many issues. But let me start by saying that the only way we can solve many of these problems that you did talk about is even our demand on our security agencies.
Okay.
We're dealing with deadly criminals. They don't wear uniform. They live among the people. Doctor is here. He must have studied about it. No country in the world wants homegrown insurgency. It's the most difficult war to win.
Deal with. Yeah.
The enemy does not wear uniform. He doesn't have a tribal mark like my others. Anybody.
It's not conventional.
It's not conventional. The security agencies have uniform. They are on the road. They are in a particular place. They can be let's look at the instance of that example that you gave. Even our attitude as Nigerians, when Nigerians even see certain things happen, they forget even to get information across to security agencies. They prefer to post it first rather
Social
than
media.
focusing on solving the problem. I tell you an instance, and I know, and doctor know, that our security agencies are working tireless there. And I give you an instance. Just about a few months ago, around 7 a.m. after Maghrib prayer, I came out of the mosque and I saw about 7 to 10 missed calls on my phone. And I called the number, and the person was desperately in distress.
Looking for help.
And kidnapped. On Kaduna. I said, calm down, calm down. I quickly, just to cut the long story short, I got across to the battalion in Zuba, the one in Zuba. I immediately got across to our colleague Samuel Arua, Commissioner. In less than 1 hour, they responded. They went to the ground. It was after the NYC camp.
He mentioned the location.
They evacuated the people that were injured, and those of them that were able to escape and stay in the bush, they evacuated them. Now, at the time that this attack was happening, what kind of training the police officers on the train do they have? Do they have response mechanism that in case there is an attack, this is the number you should reach of the Nigerian Railway Police, and then they immediately reach? Do we have police in each of these stations? What kind of gadgets are with them? And then the Nigerians that are also on the coaches that were not attacked, what was their response? Were they focused on posting on social media, or they were trying to get anybody who could solve the problem? Now, where were the security agency stationed? Do they know what path were they supposed to follow? What kind of vehicle was available to them? So these are all gamut of issues. And then the community where it happened, how do they connect with this? What is their experience in giving information to security agencies? So for us to win this war, we have to change our approach. First, our citizens' approach to issue of insecurity. And I tell people, you cannot say you are in daily trust now and you leave the security of daily trust to only the security at the gate. No. If you go out from the gate of daily trust and you see a man within for 1 hour parabolating and all this thing, you have a responsibility to call the attention of the security agencies. You don't leave them. They are here. They are human. You in your own house, the same thing. You know. So we have to change.
Security is everyone's business.
It's everyone's business. That is one. Two, we also have to change our own different within the community about creating awareness on issue of security. Let me give you an instance. Somebody live in a community. He doesn't have any visible means of income. You don't see him do anything. He dresses very fine. If you come, after 1 week, you will not see him. He comes back, he sits, he divides money on you say he's lucky. Is he the only person loved by God? So what I'm saying is that we even have to rethink our value
security
system.
consciousness.
Well, consciousness. We are not saying that you should profile anybody that you see, but some people who don't have visible means and they live within community, they live double life and all of that. Community, we must build community resilience to be very mindful of suspicious people and lifestyle and how people live in that. And above all, the security agency must protect their informants. Anybody who volunteer
that's a very
information,
fundamental issue.
Somebody
Quite
I gather reliably that where there are issues around that region, there's some member of the community who gave information. The next day or day after, they were attacked.
They came after them. So that is that. Talking about compromise, Doctor, yes, I know you want to say something along that line. Compromise, confidentiality, and of course professionalism on the part of our security agencies. The worst part of it is even the fact that the compromise has got to a level that you can't even comprehend. Now, just recently, there was an arrest of certain security personnel allegedly, conveying money for ransom to kidnappers. How can you even comprehend this? Before now, we've had issues around security agencies fighting each other to protect criminals. Remember the Wadume case?
No. You see, it is very sad, very saddening when Alhaji Spring was mentioning a compromised situation where informants are not protected. I have a very similar serious incident within my organization. In Lagos, one of our boys discovered a fake church where improvised devices had been
more like a factory
manufactured. And he reported the matter to his commandant, who informed me immediately. And I said, okay, we'll talk. And we said, okay, go to the next police station within that area. Tell the DPO. Don't tell any other police person, only the DPO. So they went and reported this matter to the DPO. The DPO deployed 5 policemen to follow them there. So on reaching the gate of the fake church, they start knocking at the gate. So a gentleman came with his cassock, and he asked, what is their problem? The police said, we heard that you are producing bomb in this place, so we come to check. The man said, this is God's house. This is church. He said, he now faced my own boy that now sent him, that now came to and gave the report. You don't have any reasonable evidence. You come to tell us, you come to report in like, presence of the
compromising.
Yes. So, and they told me, I said, no, go back to the DPO. Tell the DPO he insisted that he must be part of that operation. So they went together with the DPO. And they busted in only to find them creating those improvised devices. And they caught and got those evidences. So you see, first of all, he has exposed the officer to danger. Secondly, there was by the time they got to the police station, my officer called me to tell me, Oga, the kind of jeeps I'm seeing in this place, I'm in trouble. Do you know that it got to the extent that my officer was taken to Kirikiri prison? I have to stood my foot on the ground.
What is his crime?
What is his crime? Because he exposed this criminality. So if we are not an organization, that guy will have been gone. So many informants in this country have been gone because they are patriotic
so
enough
how do we protect them? Because without this intelligence information,
it is the training. I think it's not about passing out from police college. It is about training and retraining of the police officers.
That is one aspect, Doctor.
You understand what I'm saying?
But is it the training that they are lacking? Or
no. Sorry, Doctor, let me just add to what Doctor said quickly. The part that training talk about is very important. But in addition, part way of solving this problem is checking the entry point of both the officers and men. Generation of our grandparents and parents who joined the military or other security agents, join it out of passion as a profession, not as a job. some people join the military, the security forces today, they join as a job. But I don't have job, so I have to join.
Yeah, this boils down to the issue of corruption as
Yeah,
well.
so
Because people are getting involved in these security agencies just simply because they can part away with some.
Yes. And in this instance, it's not just, this goes to even the elite. Even before, somebody will talk to somebody for you to get something. But it must be somebody who is interested. All over the world, there are family that are in their third generation or fourth generation in the military or in the police, including this country. But somebody who is following the generation, the past generation, must be somebody who wants to do the job, not somebody who is forced, or somebody who, because he has a senator, a member, or has a minister, all of that. Well, ordinary people who want to join, some of them apply 5-6 times, they don't have opportunity.
In some cases, you find out that ex-criminals are even involved.
So, as a nation,
by security agents.
as a nation,
what do you expect?
we must check our entry point into any of these security agencies, all the security agencies. 2, they must be profiled the way they were profiled before. When people join the security forces, they profile them up to their community and all of that.
Getting enough intelligence
about them. Then 3, we must change our attitude as a nation to issue of security. I'm emphasizing that. Collectively.
Yeah.
Whole government approach, whole people approach. We have to open our eyes. It's not the issue of if anything happens, it's the police, it's the military. No. What role did you play? Either before, during, or after.
That's right.
You have to. It's not this idea of blaming. Finally, we need to understand as a nation that for us to end this issue of insecurity, we have to be ready to solve it. Because if there's one attack, and you say, okay, because of that attack, sack all the service chief, or say,
I was actually coming to that, because sanction is also very critical.
No, you see,
in a situation whereby people failed in their responsibility.
Why I'm telling you this, we have gone this way before. You remember many times, and doctor is here. He knows the environment. I am not saying that whether those who are there now are the best, but I'm telling you that this idea of reactive approach, when there's one attack, you say, let the president go, let the service chief go, it will not solve this problem. That is one. Finally, we should reduce emphasis on kinetic approach. Some of these issues we are facing that are Broma international, they're actually local challenges. Problem within maybe farmer headers or community problem.
Allowed to snowball.
Allowed to snowball.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take it from that, and then we get to your last line, talking about the non-kinetic measures. Beyond the bombs, beyond the boots and what have you, the need to address also fundamental gaps in social welfare, in governance, for instance, because most of it, just like he said, stem from injustices and so on and so forth. Community and local issues allowed to snowball into a national and homegrown terrorism. How do we address that?
Well, it's a very simple thing to do, because if you look at where we are coming from as a nation, there is a disconnect somewhere where we devoiced all our traditional council institution from the constitution and from their local participation in terms of security and profiling. I remember vividly well in those days where somebody, a stranger, is seen approaching a community. Before he gets to that community, the traditional leader of that community is very much aware of somebody strange is coming into his community. This is taken along the route. The first man that cited that person would discuss with that person and give the message to the next person, the information to that. Before you say Jack Robinson, the leader of the community is already aware. That connection is no longer there. Secondly, the relationship between the security agents and the community is no longer in existence. There's distrust. The community does not trust the policeman again. And so the police must work towards... So how can we
build this trust?
We know the police earlier, I think about 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, they started something very fundamentally pronounced good when they said the police is your friend. But they didn't build on that. Instead, we see police intimidating people and and then they are not protecting the people that they are supposed to protect. So that thing has created, a very lukewarm attitude towards the relationship between the community and the police. So I think the police as an institution should look inward and see how to effect correction in this area. Right. And then the government as a country should know that, like he said, like Elijah Bruce said, it's very key. It is citizens' participation. Yeah. Security is about everybody. Yeah. We should try to bring all together. What is the NSA office doing? Right. The NSA office is supposed to coordinate this thing. Look at critical stakeholders. Look at the agency. Bring them together. Let's brainstorm. Let's find a way out and solutions to this problem. You would not see me as a leader of a volunteer organization, and you say, this, like, I tell you an instance. Right. One of my uniform.
I think we have to, come to this discussion. I understand we have a lot to talk about. Actually, we are talking about security. It's a whole lot of issues. We can only do what we can for now, but then. Subsequently, we hope to engage you to do more. You are very much used to this because that's part of your nation building contribution. Thank you very much, gentlemen, Dr. Sana Aliyu, and of course, Jibrin Dachi for talking to us on Daily Politics.
Thank you so much.
And on your behalf and the technical crew, my name is Shafiu Suleiman. Have a wonderful evening.